Today is what baseball is all about. We had an incredible display of games today. There was walk-offs, there was a crazy amount of good pitching performances, there was some good close games. I mean, obviously with the walk-offs and everything, it was an unreal day of baseball, and it's only the third day of the season, man. I don't know, today was crazy. I ain't gonna lie, guys, going into the evening into the night, I had a few ideas of kind of what I wanted to base this video around tonight, and all of that just got thrown away. I was going to kind of talk about the Houston Astros and how the Angels seemed to have their number. Their offense was completely quiet for the first few games. And then they decided to put up what, 8 runs like uninterrupted, or like 10 runs uninterrupted. Like the Astros just decided to shut me up because I was going to come on here and talk to you guys about that. How I kind of was starting to think, and I understand, yes, we're only 3 days into the season, but is the Astros dynasty completely over? Like, is this current core of the Houston Astros more than likely done? I mean, I know that they don't have Springer anymore. Framer Valdez they have lost in free agency. They have some injuries to some key guys right now, so like injury part of everything, but is there gonna be a world in the near future where they're competing for championships again? Is that like, are they trying to like rebuild this team up? Are they gonna kind of go towards like the young guys, like, obviously keep Hunter Brown around? Um, are they gonna kind of like go into the Cam Smith era? I know they have some other young guys in the farm system that seem to be pretty enticing, seem to be pretty exciting. I know Jeremy Pena is not extremely old, so like they have some guys there, right? And then I know they also have some guys that are kind of locked up for a few years. Josh Hader's still on a big contract. Isaac Paredes is I believe he signed an extension, but I could be wrong there. Maybe he did not. But then we look at some of the other guys that they have, like obviously Jose Altuve is what, 35, 36 years old now. Correa, it's crazy that he's like 30, 31 years old now, man. I remember when Carlos Correa was like the top prospect when he was rookie of the year. He was just kind of coming onto the scene with the Astros. I was looking at some guys like that from like 2016, 2015. To think that it's been like 10, 11 years now, and those guys are either extremely old, some of them are out of the league now, and to think that, man, some of like Cody Bellinger is 30 years old. That is nuts to me. Carlos Correa is 31 years old. Andrew Benintendi, who was like the number one prospect in baseball in like 2017, is 31 years old. That is nuts. Andrew Vaughn had been had fractured a left the haymate bone. No idea what that is. No idea where that is on the body, but he had fractured it, and I believe he's out until like May. That really sucks for the Brewers, man. I know we had talked a lot about the Brewers the other day. Don't really know what to expect for them. Andrew Vaughn, I feel like, man, like that sucks because Jackson Chourio is hurt right now. Not sure whenever he's coming back. And then Andrew Vaughn being 0-2, man, like that's two big guys that I feel like we're going to be pretty key pieces to the offense this year. So if Andrew Vaughn's going to be out till May, the rest of the guys got to step up a little bit. I hope that Throwin can keep going. William Contreras, I love William Contreras. Christian Yelich hopefully has a big year too. We got to talk a little bit about the Blue Jays game. I was able to watch that one all the way through. We'll kind of get things going with a little bit of Blue Jays action, man. It was an incredible game. I mean, this first few games for the Blue Jays has been it has felt like 2025. They had talked about that on the broadcast. It reminds everybody about 2025 already, like the never give up attitude, the bottom of the order guys, like people just coming in and kind of doing their job. Like guys just looked good, man. And it obviously reminds me of 2025 with Brendan Little shitting the absolute bed, man. He grand slam to Shea Langoliers. I mean, props to Shea. He is completely destroying Toronto in these first 2 games. 3 home runs in 2 games is nuts. But the rest of the team, people picked up. Yeah, shout out to Spencer Miles, came in his MLB debut, stranded the ghost runner at second base. His stuff looked really good. He had really good movement on his slider. His fastball, I believe, was ticking up around like 97, 98 miles per hour. So his stuff looked good. I hope that he can be a promising guy for us in the future. We got him in the, I believe it was the Rule 5 draft from San Francisco. So the fact that we were able to pick somebody up like him where the Giants needed some bullpen help, hopefully he turns out to be something good. It would be nice to be able to get a little bit more arms. You can never have too many arms, in my opinion. Alejandro Kirk hit the first home run for the Blue Jays this year. It was a 9th inning game tying home run. He crushed that pitch too. He looked really good today. We got to talk about Dylan Cease too, man. 12, what was it? 12 strikeouts for Dylan Cease, and 12 or 13, one or the other. Either way, Kevin Gausman with 11 yesterday. Dylan Cease with 12 or 13 today. Dylan Cease broke the Blue Jays franchise record for most strikeouts in their debut with the team. He looked unreal, man. His fastball was electric. His slider was electric. He did get into trouble a few times during the game, but like I really don't think that was really his fault. The Athletics were just kind of fighting off some good pitches. It was just kind of like untimely stuff, right? And the Tyler Soderstrom double down the line like that really had nothing to do with Dylan Cease or really his execution or anything like that. I know David Schneider kind of misplayed the ball a little bit in left field that ended up resulting in a run, but I don't know, man. Dylan Cease was incredible today. This is the type of pitcher that I had wanted. I wanted them to go out and get like a velo, a high strikeout guy, man. I feel like besides Kevin Gausman, because Gausman has always been a good strikeout guy, Toronto has never had like a pure strikeout guy in the starting rotation. Dating back to like some of the guys, like as far as me growing up and kind of like my fandom with the Blue Jays, Marcus Stroman was never a big strikeout guy. Aaron Sanchez was never a big strikeout guy. Guys like Mark Burley was not a big strikeout guy. Estrada, J.A. Happ, those guys, never big strikeout guys. Coming into the 2020s, Robbie Ray was a good strikeout guy. He was always fun to watch that way. Obviously, Kevin Gausman, like I said. Manoah, not a big strikeout guy when he was on. Rios, not a big strikeout guy. So to get somebody like Dylan Cease, man, like somebody that could just come in, he can get you 7-8 strikeouts right out the gate. First three, he has a possibility of getting 7-8 strikeouts, which is nuts. And just I think him having the defense behind him is going to be really, really crucial for him this year, because we had talked about over the last couple of years with the Padres how the defense behind him was what was really kind of costing him, and how the Padres defense wasn't really that good, which you kind of look at the Padres team on paper. I didn't realize how bad of a defensive team they were over the last few years, but I mean, especially because Bogarts had took like a huge leap defensively last season. But I mean, you always had Manny, always had Nando, Jackson Merrill was always a good defender. I guess it was kind of like the other contributing pieces around the team that was kind of a bit of a liability for them. But I don't know. Dylan Cease was like one of the most unlucky pitchers over the last few years in baseball. I know that luck is, you kind of take what you can get whenever it comes to baseball. Like it's a part of baseball, right? Like doesn't always reflect on the pitcher, but I don't know. In my opinion, I think Dylan Cease being on a team with superb, like the Blue Jays have always had great defense. Now that we have Andres Jimenez as our full-time shortstop too, that is going to help him. Alejandro Kirk is an upgrade at catcher for him too. So to have somebody like him call the game for him, I'm pretty excited for the season for Dylan Cease. And obviously Ernie had an incredible at bat to walk off the game. One of many walk offs today, guys. Man, like Ernie Clement had a walk off. He had a walk off single. Sorry, not a home run. There was a lot of other walk offs throughout the day. I watched the Braves and the Royals game earlier today too. Walk off grand slam for Dominic Smith. But before that, it was a good old pitchers duel, man. Renato Lopez, Michael Wacha, both guys were on for most of the part. Kind of coming into the day, we were kind of, speculating on whether or not Renato Lopez at his velocity. He looked awful in the spring. I think they showed a graphic where before his injury in 2024, his average fastball velocity was like 94, 95. In the spring of this season, it was 88. That is not good. That is awful. That is a huge difference. He was able to hit 94 today. He looked good. His fastball looked good. His control looked pretty solid. He looked good. He looked healthy, which, I mean, you take spring training with a grain of salt, but when the velocity is not there at all, that's a little bit concerning. But he looked good against the Royals today. I know Salvador Perez did hit a home run. The Royals had the lead for pretty much this entire game until the last little bit. I think it was when Carlos Estevez came in the game, the Braves had tied the game, and then Dom Smith with the walk-off grand slam, man. I know that they had talked about how he did that. His mother just passed away. I think it was his mother or his grandmother, one or the other, just passed away recently due to cancer. So this was a big emotional moment. Obviously, starting off the season, Dom Smith, over the last few years, has kind of been bouncing around teams. You never really know where he's going to fit in. Able to get the opportunity today, capitalize on that opportunity. So props to him. Shout out to Dom Smith and the Braves, who are off to a 2-0 start to start the season. Hopefully the Braves can keep that up, man, because like I said, the Braves are a good team if they can stay healthy. They're, if everybody can kind of contribute, everybody can stay healthy, they're a good team. Luis Robert with a walk-off home run, another walk-off today against the Pittsburgh Pirates. I think it was a 2-1 game going into the ninth inning for the Pirates over the Mets. And then Luis Robert steps up. I believe it was a walk-off 3-run home run for the Mets. I really like the addition of Luis Robert, and I think him just getting out of Chicago, him getting out of the White Sox atmosphere, everything that have happened for them over the last few years, just him stepping away from this stuff. I really, really like that for him. I think him going to like the Mets, where the expectations probably aren't going to be there. He's not, going to be expected to be like the guy. There's so much protection around him in the lineup. He can just kind of come in, just be himself, and just kind of fill in holes for the Mets. And I really hope he capitalizes on that because I think the talent for Luis Robert is still extremely through the roof. We've seen it in the past for the White Sox. He is a very talented player when he puts everything together. Oh man, I forgot to talk about the first game that I watched today was the Cubs and the Nationals. Man, the Cubs put belt to ass. I think it was a 10-4 game at the end of the day. I wanted to talk about a few things with this game. The first thing I was going to talk about is how in the absolute hell does Miles Mikolas still have a job in baseball? I know it's the Nationals. I know that they don't have a lot that they're really going for this year. But man, Miles Michael, I guess maybe if it's like a veteran type of thing, if that's the only reason they brought him in. But man, Miles Mikolas was like the worst qualified pitcher in all of baseball last year. Did not look good today. I know that some of it was because of the defense behind him. Speaking of defense, though, I might talk trash about the Nationals defense, but they did have an incredible web gem by Nunez at short. Let me see if I can pull that up here for you guys real quick because it was an incredible play. All right, I think you guys are going to be able to see this. This play may have been one of the best shortstop plays I've seen in a very long time. He rolled to third base. Oh, he rolled to third base and still got him. Bro, that play was nuts. Man, like that's insane. That's insane. That is a crazy play. But outside of that play, unfortunately, the Nationals defense was really, really bad today. I know that I think it was Nunez and Dalen Lyle that had collided and let a ball drop in. The Cubs had a few other blue pits that just kind of got down. They were able to score a lot of runs early in the game. Miguel Amaya had a home run today. Ian Happ, I believe, had a 3-run home run. So they had some power in the lineup. Cubs needed it. Cade Horton looked really good for the Cubs too. So the Cubs needed that after a really bad first game out of them. St. Louis Cardinals. Now, I'm not going to talk about a lot of... There's a few other games that did play today that I'm not going to be able to get a chance to talk about because I didn't watch them. I don't want to come on here and just lie to you guys about games that I didn't really get a chance to watch or didn't really get a chance to or if I was just kind of like box score watching, I didn't really get a chance to watch them yet. There's a lot of teams that I haven't got a chance to watch over the first few days as much as I would like. One of those teams is the Dodgers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. I don't know if it's like me not really wanting to watch the Dodgers. I don't know. I just haven't really tuned into too much of those games yet. I did watch a little bit of the game earlier today. Didn't get to watch the last few innings, but the first half, I was able to catch a little bit of that. Another series that I have seen so far that has actually been a really underrated series so far to start off the season. The Tampa Bay Rays versus the now 2-0 St. Louis Cardinals. Who would have thought that to start off the year? The St. Louis Cardinals came into the season. Obviously, they're not really going to try to... I don't think they're going to be a really good team this year. Even if they did start off 2-0. Hey, they're in a huge rebuilding process right now, and I highly doubt they're going to be winning too many games. Shout out to the pitching for them, though, man. This is 2 days in a row. Michael McGreevy went 6 no-hit innings. Matthew Liberatore looked really good in the first game, too. I think the thing with the Cardinals is, can these young guys kind of fulfill what they were supposed to be? Michael McGreevy was a big-time prospect for them. Matthew Liberatore, can he finally kind of punch his way through because he was a big-time prospect for them, too? They got guys on the offensive side like Victor Scott. JJ Weatherholt has been incredible. He had the walk-off single today too, which I like seeing a lot of these young guys. There's a lot of young guys that were able to get the opening day call this year for a lot of different teams. So JJ Weatherholt is taking advantage of that. Another guy taking advantage of that is Chase DeLauder for the Cleveland Guardians. You like that? Like that little transition there, man. He is on fire. I believe he's got 4 home runs in his first 3 major league games. The only other person to ever do that was Trevor Story for the Rockies, I believe, in 2016, which I remember whenever that happened for Trevor Story. That was like the talk of baseball for a few weeks. It was like, oh man, this is the next big piece for the Rockies. And I feel like those two teams are very similar. The Guardians of this year, Rockies of 2016, where at the time, yes, they did have Charlie Blackmon. I don't want to discredit Charlie Blackmon or some of the other guys on that Rockies team. Nolan Arenado was the alpha dog of that team. Outside of him, there was a lot of question marks for that Rockies team. Now, fast forward to this Guardians team in 2026. Jose Ramirez is the alpha dog of the Guardians, obviously, and there's so many question marks coming into this season. The Guardians offense looked awful. Outside of Jose Ramirez, who is going to kind of step up? Who is going to be the next guy? They don't, Stephen Kwan took a step back last year. Can Manzardo kind of fulfill that role? They got a lot of other young guys. Obviously, CJ Cafis is another guy, too, that I'm kind of excited about. Don't really know what you're going to get from all those guys, but man, Chase DeLauder has looked incredible these first few games. They were able to beat the Mariners in an absolute dogfight, too, because the Mariners did not want to give up. Speaking of the Mariners, though, they're off to a bit of a rough start, man. I know they have a win, but that offense is not looking too hot. I mean, Luke Raley has 3 home runs. Did not expect to see that, but big guys are not swinging well. Josh Naylor's not looking good. Cal Raleigh started off the season 0 for 7 with 7 strikeouts. Not good. Not good stuff. J Rod did have a couple hit. I believe he had at least 1 hit today. Not sure if he's got a couple other ones. I mean, I don't know. The big guys are not looking too good for the Mariners. But if they can get the contributions from guys like Luke Raley and some of the other like bottom of the lineup guys, that is going to help a lot, because by the time that these big guys kind of, step up and finally get back to their old selves, to have some like backup guys and to have like a fulfilled order is going to be super key for the Mariners, which I feel like it's been a long time since a team like that has had that, because I look back a few years ago for the Mariners when they were kind of like on the edge of making the playoffs, always kind of fighting for that last wild card spot for a few years in a row. I feel like the top of the order was so heavy and they weren't able to get the bottom of the, like any action from the bottom of the order. Now, if they can have guys like that step up when the big guys are struggling like they have been. I know we talked about it yesterday, but man, I love when teams have a fulfilled order, just a good player at the bottom of the order, good players at the top, and just some decent guys just all the way through, man. Like a good balanced lineup. I love when teams do that. I'm happy to see the Mariners kind of have that a little bit now with, guys like Luke Raley and a few other guys towards the bottom of the order. Some of the young guys that they have too have been playing pretty well. I mean, the pitching has been there. We know how good the pitching is for the Mariners. Now, the last thing I wanted to talk about real quick is kind of going back to what I had started the episode with the Houston Astros. I got to give props to the Angels, man. The Angels have looked pretty good. They were on the verge of being 3-0. They were on the verge of starting the season 3-0. And man, I mean, the Astros just put an absolute belt fest on them. I believe it was the 7th or the 8th inning. Unreal. I did not think that was gonna happen from the Astros whatsoever. Like I said, I wanted to come into this video and start talking straight away about the Astros and their dynasty and how well they have been over the last 10 years. And are things going to finally shift? Are they going to be a team by the deadline if they're not, pulling their weight, if they're not like, maybe around like 500 or whatever? Will the content enough with trading guys away and not keeping a lot of their older guys around? Because, like I said, missing out on Framber Valdez in free agency. Jose Altuve is like 35, 36 years old now. Correa is, I hate to say it because Correa is one of my favorite players when he was in his prime. Correa is not the player that he once was. So guys like that don't have Springer anymore. Kyle Tucker is not there. The offense, besides that inning, has not looked incredible to start the season. So I don't know. I could see the Astros being one of those teams that I hope they're smart enough, even though it's been so long since they've been in a rebuild or even kind of taking a step back. Um, I would hope by like the deadline that they might be one of those smart teams that does take a step back, and say like we're not going to get anywhere. The Mariners are so good in our division. The Athletics are kind of like coming up in the division too. Never know what you're going to get from the Texas Rangers, the Angels. You don't got to worry about LA, I don't think. But you know, I don't know. I just look at the Astros and I think maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for them to finally pull the plug. I know it's weird for me to say this after the game that they had today, but like I said, I had so many thoughts that I still wanted to get them out and still kind of wanted to talk to you guys about that. But yeah, like I said, there was other games that went on today that I wasn't able to catch, so I'm not going to really touch on them too much. But want to catch those teams over the course of the next few days. I didn't really get a chance to watch too much of the Mets and Pirates game, but I knew that Luis Robert hit the home run, so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Speaking real quick before we end this in this episode, guys, Giants lost again, but they scored a run. They scored a run. They got one run off of the New York Yankees. 3 games in, one run. Yeah, that's not good. Not good whatsoever.